You belong on every ground your feet grace, so don't ever feel out of place. Take up space and belong. This earth is your birthplace. Hey y'all, welcome back to the Central Genius channel. To continue my 5 series, in this video I'm going to do 5 romance movies that changed my perception of love. Now I recently did, or a while back, I did 5 romance movies that inspired my ideas of love. In this one, I'm going to do the ones that changed my perception of love. So the first one on that list is Waiting to Exhale. I feel like Waiting to Exhale changed my perceptions of love when it focuses mostly on the sisterhood on that movie rather than the romantic relationships they were having. They were teaching us different lessons that each one of these women were learning while they were in relationships. But the most important thing to me was the importance of the sisterhood and having people to help you get through tough relationships and even good relationships. I do feel like the village mentality, I feel like when it comes to romantic relationships, especially monogamous ones, the element that I feel is missing is the village. And I know a lot of what we were taught was to keep people out of your relationship. The relationship should be between you and your partner. And while I agree with that, I feel like one of the things that monogamous people can learn from poly people or non-monogamous people is that you need more than one person in your life to get you through life. Doesn't necessarily mean that you have to have multiple romantic partners, but I do feel like having friends and people to count on while you're in these relationships can help you a lot as well. You just have to know how much to put them in your business, or don't put them in your business that at all, but just allow them to be support, because people don't really got to know what's going on in your relationship to be supportive to you. And the support that they show you doesn't even have to have anything to do with the relationship. It really can just be support. For instance, a lot of women, when they get into romantic relationships, they throw their friendships away. They stop really being persistent in their friendships, and they put their romantic partner over their friendships. And I feel like that's one of the ways that you go wrong, because if something happens in that relationship, the first thing you do is run to your friends. And if you continue to move like that, you may not have any friends to run into. And I also feel like, as a person who stayed in a relationship longer than I should have because I didn't have any friends, I feel like that can also make you stay in an unhealthy situation better. Like, I want to have friends that make my romantic partner step their game up. Like, they love me, they support me so hard, they go so hard for me, that my romantic partner is looking at them like, okay, she got people like this around her, they love her like this, then I don't have no choice but to show that same amount of love or more. So that's one of the things that I learned from Waiting to Exhale. Also, it shows the realities of romantic relationship. Yes, a lot of those relationships were struggle love. A lot of them had to go through a lot of heartache and stuff like that. While they were in those relationships, they made a lot of wrong decisions. I'm not going to say stupid decisions, because I'm trying not to, call a person stupid for making bad decisions. They made a lot of bad decisions. They made a lot of wrong decisions. Even in the main relationship, which was Bernadine and her husband getting that divorce, the fact that she centered her husband in her life was unhealthy. It was toxic, and it eventually led to her divorce. And then, once you get a divorce from that person, you're angry because you feel like you gave them all of you. You gave them everything, and they turn around and they hurt you. And I feel like if she was not centering him and she still focused on herself outside of him and who she was outside of him, then it wouldn't have been so, she wouldn't have such a hard time when they broke up. But that's just my opinion. So y'all know that this movie is always going to be on my list when I'm talking about positive examples of movies. If Beale Street Could Talk, and it's pretty much the same as Waiting to Exhale. The support of the family being like the foundation for Fonnie and Tish's relationship to succeed. I feel like if she didn't have her family supporting her, I feel like they wouldn't have had a romantic relationship. She wouldn't have gotten through what she went through with him. Neither one of them would have gotten through what they went through together. But I feel like their families laid a foundation for them to stand on, because we didn't see him get released from prison, but I feel like after he got released, they could have had a successful relationship because they had people fighting for their love. They had people fighting for their relationship. They were really young. Instead of them being a stereotypical family and steering them away from a serious relationship and steering them away from each other, most families would have told you, if your boyfriend got locked up for something, even if they didn't feel like he did it, they would have told you to not wait around for them. Oh, you shouldn't talk to nobody like that. He's in jail. That's gonna look bad on you. But her family supported her so much that was never even a question. That never came up. And I feel like that's why I feel like the village is important also for romantic relationships. I feel like people love to bring the village up when it comes to raising kids, but I feel like it's important in relationships as well. But those two movies pretty much showed me that. Also, loyalty and what healthy loyalty looks like. It wasn't I'm loyal even to my own detriment, but it's I'm loyal because I believe in my love for this person and I believe in this person, and I don't believe that they would do something like this. Actually, I know they wouldn't. So I'm going to stick in this fight with them no matter how hard it get, no matter how stressed I am. Even when he was losing it and he was stressed out, she still stuck in there with him. And I feel like healthy loyalty is important, but when somebody wants you to be loyal to your own detriment, that is not loyalty. It's not at all. It also teaches that love transcends. Like, through love, you can get through a lot of things. I'm not gonna say everything. I kind of feel like we have this misconception about love and what it's supposed to inspire us to do. We have people telling us that if you know you love me, no matter how bad this relationship gets, you gonna stay in this with me. And that's not true. That's unhealthy. That's also unhealthy, and that's codependency, not love. Also toxic attachment. That's not love. A person should not want you to suffer in order to be with them. They shouldn't expect you to suffer in order to be with them. I actually think it's ridiculous, and I feel like because it's something that has been normalized in our society, that we just let it fly, and that's what people live by. Because anytime that I have conversations with my friends and I tell them how I get through breakups and stuff like that, I always get called cold-hearted. There's no way you could have been in love with this person because you can move on so easily. No, I was in love with that person while I was with them, but when it's time to break up, the love for myself is gonna always come before how I feel about you, even in that relationship. But I feel like when you're in a relationship, there are some things that you will have to compromise on. But I feel like if I'm putting my all into a relationship and it's not panning out, the love and I decide to break up with that person, the love for myself is going to keep me from going back. The love for myself and even the love for them, because if we're fighting, I don't want to be fighting, arguing, and all of that with somebody that I love. I don't want to hurt somebody I love. I don't want to create unhealthy habits with somebody that I love. So I'm going to love you and me enough to walk away and never look back. I'm just not. Like, I feel like because people have been taught, oh, when you love somebody, you stick it out, and you just stay with them, you stick it out, you just don't leave a person that you love. And I feel like that's unhealthy. That's unhealthy. You do leave them, because why do you want to fight with somebody that you claim to love? And why should I have to suffer for your love? Like, that doesn't make sense to me. But if that's what y'all see as cold-hearted, I'll continue to be cold-hearted. I'll choose that over being strung out on somebody that don't mean me no good. So the next movie on my list is Intergalactic. And Intergalactic is an animated movie, but it's still about romance. It still has messages in it that changed my perception of love. But the first thing is, timing means nothing if you do the work. I know we've all had situations where we've dated somebody and it just didn't work out, and maybe you have tried to date that person multiple times and it never worked out, and we say stuff like it wasn't our timing, or the timing wasn't right. And I kind of feel like timing is not the problem, it's persistence that's the problem. It's a lot of the times in those relationships, there's either one or both people that are not willing to make it work. You're not willing to put in that effort and do the work in order to make a relationship happen. It's not necessarily timing, because I feel like time means nothing. Time is relative. It means nothing. It's about whether you're in a space to put in the effort, to put in the work to make this relationship work. And a lot of the times, those people that you always feel like the timing is never right, those people are not for you. It doesn't matter what type of connection you've had with them, how deep you think it is, how natural it comes to you. A lot of the times we tell ourselves things to soothe reality, to soothe us from facing reality. And the reality is, this person that you think is for you, but the timing is always off, is not for you. Because if they were for you, the timing would never be off. You would both be putting in the effort to make that relationship work. And if it's a situation where every time y'all come together, it don't work out, it's not supposed to work out. At least that's how I feel. Because timing means nothing. And I find it always funny how y'all say, how people like to say, like, things happen on God's timing and stuff like that. And, you understand timing when it comes to your relationship with God. But when it comes to your relationship with another person, the timing is never right. And if you're looking at a spiritual, religious standpoint, the only timing that you should be waiting on is God's timing. But when it comes to the two people, one person doesn't get to dictate what's the wrong or right timing for a situation. At least I don't think so. I feel like if you want something to work, you would just put forth the effort. It don't matter what the timing is. It don't matter what's going on. Now, I can understand it being that maybe you aren't in a position to where you can be in a healthy relationship, period. Not necessarily with a specific person. That's period. That means if you're not in a situation where you feel like you could be in a relationship, you shouldn't be dating nobody. You shouldn't just, oh, well, these people, I'm okay with giving half of me, and I'm okay with like not putting effort and not being consistent. But with this person, I'm not okay with that. It should be across the board for everybody. If I'm not in a position, whether that's financially, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, to date one person, I ain't in it to date nobody. Because I feel like everybody should get the best of you. And I know a lot of people disagree. A lot of people think that it's cool to just give pieces of themselves to certain people because you feel like they don't even deserve the whole of you. But my whole thing is, if a person doesn't deserve the whole of me, they don't deserve a piece of me either. I'm not giving them a piece of me. That's not how I operate. I don't know how to give myself to people in pieces. And if you are willing to do that, then you're not a whole person. You're not a whole person. You're not a healed person. And you need to go back to the drawing board. But Intergalactic pretty much shows me timing means nothing if you do the work. I felt like at first when the two of them were dating, they couldn't get it right. It was always something that was coming up or whatever. They felt like they had to compromise one thing to get this, and it was just excuses. It was a lot of excuses for why they didn't want to make the relationship work. But once they started making excuses and they started putting forth the effort, they were able to get back on one accord. And I feel like the whole timing thing, excuse. It's an excuse, because if you're in a position to be in a relationship but you keep saying, you know, wrong timing, it's not the timing that's wrong, it's the person. You're not in a situation where you should be dating. That should be across the board for everybody, not just some people. Intergalactic also taught me to take advantage of moments. Like, I feel like sometimes even outside of relationships, we tend to fixate on this order of things and how we want things to go. And I had my life planned to do this. I had plans to do that. I don't want to do this until I do that and stuff like that. And we just miss opportunities to enjoy the moment, to be present in the moment, to enjoy it. Even if I can come across somebody and I can fall for them. And maybe I fell for them, but nothing else came out of it. And a lot of times you feel cheated because you feel like, well, I got my feelings involved and nothing came out of it. When really, the fact that somebody was able to arouse your emotions, your love, your soul, your heart, whatever you want to say, that's something to indulge in sometimes. Sometimes taking advantage of moments can go a long way. You don't always have to fixate on everything and fixate on the order of things, or fixate on the fact that somebody aroused your heart maybe and nothing came of it. Instead of fixating on that, why not just look at it like, well, at least I know that I still can feel. At least I know that I'm capable of loving. At least I know I have the capacity to love somebody. Like, you just enjoyed that experience. I feel like a lot of times we cheat ourselves out of experiences because we don't enjoy them. We don't give ourselves chance to enjoy them because we're fixated on making that moment stretch into something that maybe it wasn't even supposed to be. But the last point I got is get outside and live. Somebody like me who is a homebody, who doesn't, I'm not gonna say don't really like to go out. I just kind of like being in my own world. I don't care where I'm at, whether I'm at home or wherever I'm at. I like to be in my own world. But this movie taught me to open up my world and to allow people in. Allow people into that world. Go out and live and meet people, and whatever happens type of thing. But also live in my truth. Don't sacrifice my integrity just to be outside and live life. You know, there's a way that you can live without sacrificing your integrity or doing things that go against who you are as a person. So the next one is The Wood. And I know y'all like The Wood. But I kind of feel like as a woman, we have these experiences that can be different from men. I don't feel like women and men are vastly different, but I do feel like our perception of things are different because of the way we were conditioned to be, conditioned to feel, the roles we were conditioned to play. And I do feel like watching a movie like The Wood kind of opens my mind to the way men are conditioned to see marriage and commitment versus the way we're conditioned to see it. And also in seeing their side of things and realizing why there's such a big disconnect between the two of us. Because men are conditioned to believe that committing and getting married is so uncool, or you're not cool no more. You used to be a player. You letting somebody tie you down. Like you acting like they kind of associate being a man and manhood with spreading their seed, with sowing their royal oats, or whatever you want to say. Like, and watching movies like that just kind of show me, like, the things that men the experience that men have on earth and how it differs from us. Women are conditioned to only focus on commitment, focus on how to get a man, how to keep a man, how to raise kids, how to do this, that, and the third for a man. And men are conditioned to just date women, multiple women, sometimes at the same time. And oh, you're supposed to be out here enjoying your life, and you're supposed to be, dating this person and that person and that person. You shouldn't be settling on just one person. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Stuff like that. And it creates a lot of fear around commitment for them. And then we wonder why we're so we wonder why there's so much like strife and we fight each other so much, because we're conditioned two completely different ways, and it's almost impossible for us to meet in the middle a lot of the times, because we want what we want and they want what they want. But instead of like putting ourselves in each other's shoes and realizing why we're so different, we just like to poke at what, like, the differences. Oh, well, men need to do this and men need to do that. Women need to do this and women need to do that. Rather than meeting each other halfway, we can talk about this. Yeah, women are expected to do this, that, and the third, but let's talk about why that could be harmful. Men are expected to do this, that, and the third. Let's talk about why that can be harmful, and how we can meet each other in the middle. How we can push all of those things that we were taught, all of those perceptions that were put into our heads about each other, push those to the side, and let's come together and see how we can meet in the middle. But a lot of the times, we never get to that point, because honestly, some people are okay with the way that they were conditioned. Some women are okay with the way they were conditioned. Some men are okay with the way they were conditioned. It gives them an excuse not to show up in a way that they're supposed to show up. It gives them an excuse not to put in effort. It gives them an excuse to, you can excuse all of the hearts you've broken because this is how a man is supposed to be. You can excuse the damage you've done to people because this is how a woman is supposed to be. Like, a lot of the times, the reason why we don't reconcile things and we don't see things from each other's point of view is because we don't want to. We benefit from the way we're conditioned. We benefit from not having to care about people's feelings and, oh, I'm just being a man. That's what a man's supposed to be doing. No. You still need to be held accountable for people who you've done wrong. We all need to be held accountable. But until we come to that conclusion, we're never going to see eye to eye. But I feel like movies like The Wood, and it kind of shows brotherhood and men's relationship with each other as very toxic to me. Because why are you, if your friend decides that he wants to get married to a woman, regardless of whether you like her or not, it's not your place, because you're not dating her. He is. The only thing you should be doing is supporting him. I can understand you. A lot of the times it be selfish. Y'all don't want to lose y'all homeboys. Y'all feel like, oh, him getting married is me losing him. Now I don't got nobody to run the streets with. I don't got nobody to do this with. I don't got nobody to do my dirt with. And you will put these things in this person's head and create doubt where he wasn't doubtful. That's not a friend. Do I feel like all men are like that? No. I know a lot of men who hold each other accountable. A lot of men who support their friends when they do certain things. And you don't make your friend feel bad for making a decision for his own life. But you put your own selfish desire before your friend. And that's what Brian did to I forgot Shamar Moore's character name. Or was what his name is, Bill Bellamy character. Bill Bellamy's character was doing that to Shamar Moore's character. He was like trying to make him feel some type of way for wanting to settle down. Trying to make him feel like he wasn't cool because he didn't want to settle down, and putting doubt in his head, making him feel like this was not the right move for him. All because he didn't want to lose his friend. Also, all because he was projecting his own insecurities onto his friend. His issues with his mama, the things that he didn't see growing up and how it shaped the way that he viewed women. And he tried to project that onto somebody who had grown up, who had evolved to become somebody who looked at women differently, regardless of why it happened, how it happened. But a lot of men go through that. They have friends that are like that. And sometimes a lot of them aren't strong enough to check that friend and be like, look, I understand what you're trying to say, and that's cute, but I'm finna get married. Like, you tripping. I can't marry you. I don't want to marry you. I'm finna get married. And honestly, if you're really that lonely and you want somebody to go through life with, then find you somebody. Simple. Their relationship wasn't ending, it was just changing. And he was putting added pressure onto this man by making him feel some type of way for wanting a committed relationship. But it just really shows you, well, that was the brothers, but the Wood was also the same thing too. One thing I will say about the difference between the Wood and the brothers, in the Wood, he had one friend that was like, no, you decided to propose to this girl, you're marrying this girl. And he had one friend like, well, if you didn't want to marry her, you shouldn't have proposed. I already told you, you can never get me to do it, whatever. He going off on him when really you're just scared of losing your friend. You're just scared that if he married this woman, our friendship is not going to be the same. And you're right, it's not. But that don't mean that it's ending. It's not ending. But on the brothers, while Shamar Moore's character had Morris Chestnut's character being the voice of reason, and then you had D.L. Hughley's character that was kind of like in between. He was going through his own situation with his wife, and so Shamar Moore's character is getting a glimpse of how a marriage can fall apart, while his single friend is like, why you leaving me over here? And then you have Morris Chestnut's character, who is the voice of reason, but he also has his own fears about committing to a woman. They all were literally learning the same lesson, but going about it in different ways. And really, they weren't really no help to each other in that situation. They were no help to each other because they couldn't even help themselves. But instead of realizing, I'm going through my own stuff, I don't want to give advice that's going to change my friend's life drastically, so I'm going to keep my mouth closed. I ain't going to say nothing. I'm not going to project how I'm feeling onto them. Instead of them coming to that conclusion, it was very much everybody projecting. Everybody pushing their fears off on somebody else or whatever. But I did like that they brought it back together. They brought it back together. They did on both of the movies, the brothers and the Wood. It also showed me like the trauma and family history and how it impacts the idea of love and relationships. So we see that um on both movies. We see you know, some these men growing up without fathers in their lives. They only had their mother, and they may not have had the best relationship with their mother, so they don't really have an example of a healthy relationship. So basically they're figuring it out as they go, but at the same time they have each other. So even in moments where they weren't as supportive as they could have been to each other, they did have moments where they brought it back around and they were like, look, you need to take accountability for this. And while I'm at it, I'm going to take accountability for what I got going on and face my fears, and eventually they all got it. So I love those movies, those two movies for that. But yeah, my camera is about to die, so I gotta make this quick. These are 5 movies that changed my perception of love. Let me know if y'all have seen these movies, and also do y'all agree with my analysis of each of these movies? Did these movies change your perception of love? Also, do you have any movies that changed your perception of love? Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you think about this video, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye! Before you go, check out my website at srgraham.org and subscribe to my mailing list to get exclusive updates on works in progress, other news, and blog posts. Thank you.